The modern spare sits high in the back of the trunk. It's necessary to modify the trunk space. I chose the modern spare. It has very good reviews. I used the template provided as my pattern, if you will, and a piece of chalk to make markings on the sub-trunk carpet so I knew where to cut. I suggest you have the proper tools and replacement parts for the trim. The left and right section of the trunk area trim pops off of these metal brackets relatively easy. The sub-trunk, however, does take an effort to remove the pins. I use the pool noodle as a spacer because that back wall adjacent to the back seats is relatively flimsy, and if the tire is forced too far back there, it will not allow the seats to recline. I removed the sub-trunk for easier trimming. I followed the chalk lines and cut with a pair of shears down to the depth where I felt was safe and easy to lay flat. The glue was difficult, but possible to manage. I would not recommend using a utility knife to cut the glue, as you will cut the carpet. My tool of choice was an electric knife, as the blunt end protected the carpet from accidental cutting. Once I got the top lip easy to remove, I was able to assess the situation a little better and determined that if I put a putty knife, plastic, do not use the metal ones, in between the carpet and the foam and literally hammered it down, I freed up the glue from the foam. Once that released, I put a board between the foam and the carpet. Then I used the utility knife with ease and was able to cut the foam easily. I was required to repair a section. I did not want to lose any of the foam. It helped with structural support. Hot glue worked fine. I put parchment paper down so that I could iron the carpet down. Even though there was still glue on it, I didn't want it sticking back to the foam. It took about 4 or 5 passes, high steam, but it worked really well to put a crease in the sub-trunk carpet. It's really good carpet and it doesn't melt with the steam iron. And then go ahead and make that crease. So that was it for the sub-trunk. Now the back trunk. The back area adjacent to the back seat has sound deadening fabric, and there's a piece of plastic that sticks up. I did not even want to cut that. That could be fire retardant. It was real easy to cut. I just trimmed it down to the fold with an X-Acto knife. However, the carpet and the fabric were glued together, and this did not want to lay flat. I attempted to put the tire on top of it, hoping the weight of the tire would push it down, but it had been formed in that position and the tire slightly tilted up. So I took the chalk, and on the fold I highlighted a section that I took the X-Acto knife and cut a slit to ease up that fabric so it would lay flat. And that did work. Then it was very forgiving, and it agreed to lay flat. However, I did steam iron this section as well. Now it fits nicely, and I'm only 1.5 inches higher on each side than before. Luckily, there was Velcro on the carpet, so I was able to tuck the back part under, and the sub-trunk carpet laid nicely and flat. A very good foundation for the spare tire. I put a piece of foam in the crack between the tire and the wall, but I don't really think it was necessary. Now the back part is sloped down toward the outside. I took a pool noodle and some cheap tights. I made a sleeve for the pool noodle, but prior to that I put Velcro receiving ends in 4 places on the fabric. You could use a tube sock, but I made a tube sock out of the ladies' tights. Turned them inside out, stuffed the pool noodle, and then I adhered the Velcro pieces to the back of this trunk. And it adhered to the carpet without any issues. It does not fall down into the sub-trunk. And it gave me the height that I needed to level out the back section. Here was the gap before I adjusted with the pool noodle. It was quite the slope. There's the gap after I adjusted with the pool noodle. So the back section's a little higher than the section in the front. Here was after the adjustment. The detent can't be used now, but that's okay. It's worth having a spare tire. I lost a little space from the protrusion of the tire, but I increased the depth. Now it all lays flat. I hope this video helps you and saves you a little grief from putting your spare tire in your Model Y.